Yes, folks, it's Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. This must be Pillars of Franchising. I'm Fred McMurray, and I'm with my co-host. And again, it's
Pillars of Franchising. Pillars of Franchising.
I'm with Ray Pillar, Elizabeth Denham, and our special returning guest, RJ Grimshaw. Ray, how you doing? Elizabeth, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Sitting back home, and it's a comfortable 45 degrees and slight rain. But, I was thinking of moving into this location right here and isolating myself. That's in Cottonwood, Arizona, where I just came from, a rally out there. But that looks like an appropriate place to live, and considering the conditions. How are you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, he's supposed to help, right? I'm good. I'm down here in Alabama. It's 81 and sunny, so we're hot.
Yeah.
I've had kids in the pool today, so maybe the chlorine will kill all the germs.
My view is this. They've been complaining that people have been spending too much time on the beach. So they're telling them to move along, but it's beautiful. It's the front part of the office where they're still digging up the street, starting to put concrete in. But for just about the last 24 hours, we haven't had water in the office.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. You got to hydrate.
So before we introduce our guest, just a quick note. I was notified yesterday via tweet that Pillars of French.
This is a major announcement. It's not a little thing. It's a major announcement, Fred. Come on, hype it.
Made my day. Okay. Feedspot.com has listed us in their top 20 franchise podcasts that you need to listen to in 2020.
And where are we listed in that? Where are we listed in that top 20? Numero uno.
Whoa, congratulations. That's awesome.
Number one. We're number one. Weird. Who the hell knew?
I wouldn't guess. Well, congratulations, Fred.
Huge shout out for liking what we do. We love you. We're number one. We're number one. Hey, we're going to talk about a nasty topic now. The coronavirus outbreak. So all I can say is, I don't know, maybe I don't think it took coronavirus to make us number one, but we're number one. So Elizabeth, you want to introduce our guest?
Sure. RJ Grimshaw is the CEO of Unify Equipment Finance since I think 2013, right?
That's correct.
Right. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in the business world in terms of the coronavirus and before everything went downhill and where we're going to go now and how to get through it. So welcome to you.
Thank you. I'm not sure I'm going to have all those answers where we're going to go, but boy, oh boy,
we can figure out how to try to get there together, right?
Yeah, that's a key phrase, getting there together. We're living history every single day, unfortunately. It's been a roller coaster, and I can't even begin to imagine, what business owners are going through, on a daily basis, and just the news feed and the constant, news in regards to this deadly virus. so not only are business owners and are worried about the future of their business, but more importantly, the health of their families and loved ones and neighbors and things of that nature. So
I
it's
know the best of times and the worst of times. You're
Yeah.
number one. Sorry. I will say this. I crap. I should have had it programmed in. I apologize. Maybe by the end of the show we'll play it. You were ever a fan of Monty Python, Life of Brian and the Meaning of Life, Eric Idle's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life is phenomenal. And the weirdest thing is about 4 weeks ago, before everything started hitting, I kept hearing the music and the song going on, and it is what it is. So I got to give a thank you and kudos to RJ. After he was on the show last time, he sent cool
Well, I've got one of those somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I have to give proper kudos to our friend Terp, who is no longer with Unify, unfortunately. But this was actually a recommendation that came from Terp for our customers to send out, and they've been a huge hit. I have one, I carry one, and even nowadays, where it seems like we're on our phones more and more. What we really liked about that particular device is you can plug it in and still charge your phone, and you're not worrying about the extra cord. So it's a great device. I'm glad to see you guys using it, and you can plug in more than one device. It can be 2 devices.
I don't know if you can see that. It's a fan.
Oh yeah, love that logo.
This is so. Yeah. This is the coolest. We gotta get Elizabeth one of these things.
I was to say I'm a little left out.
Well, email me your home address. We'll make sure we get one out to you.
All right. that was pre-me.
No matter what, this is the coolest thing ever. I mean, saved my butt a couple of times on trips.
Super.
Ray loves it. I love it. Thank you. So now we'll go back to serious stuff. Ray, take over. Ask a serious question.
That's a serious question. Well, I guess the basic question is, how's business? That we know that everybody else's business is down. And then the follow-up question I'm going to ask 2 in a row here is, what do you expect after?
Yeah, it's interesting because just like so many businesses, our January and February, we were off to a great start to the year. Businesses were purchasing equipment. Everyone was very optimistic. They still had the fear of a recession. There was still a lot of conversation around it, but people were still moving forward and had a very confident feeling in regards to 2020. And then all of a sudden, the end of February, and then as we progress through March, and March feels like it's been a year just in its own self at the velocity and pace this continues to evolve. So in the end of February, we actually started putting plans together to ensure that we were prepared and ready to take care of our customers that were going to have challenges in their business. Because at Unify, unlike larger institutions, I'm not discounting larger institutions, we're nimble enough, and we pride ourselves on ensuring that our customers have a little bit different sense when they call our organization. So we started pivoting some resources because we knew on what we call the front side of the business in terms of new transactions, we're probably going to slow down, and they have slowed down tremendously. We knew that we were going to have to provide relief to our current customers in regards to payment deferments with interest, payment deferments, and things of that nature. But more importantly than all of that, we wanted to ensure that when people called into Unify, we picked up the phone, didn't go to voicemail. And even if we couldn't help them at that given time in terms of because of the log or the amount of calls we were getting, we told them that we'd be back in touch with them the same day. And we've held to that standard. And then trying to just show empathy. We've had people, I don't want to say it's a new norm now for us this week, but last week it was heart-wrenching because people were calling in and we had people crying to us what we could do to help them. So it's been very challenging, but at the end of the day, our number one goal is to support these business owners, take as much friction out of the system when they do call in, show that empathy, and then we're building our plan next month to touch base with them again, and the following month, and provide what we're trying to do. Also, we've all received these emails now. It seems like it's an avenue for companies just to email you and tell you to wash your hands more, or precautions that they're taking and things of that nature. We've taken a different approach. So as I receive information in regards to state programs, SBA programs, I'm trying to pull nuggets out of that and share to our customers in our portfolio, because there's no two situations alike. So we're just trying to provide that information and not overwhelm people. So it's a quick email. Here's a link that you might find valuable. And you know, if you need anything, give us a call. We have seen some new business. Matter of fact, we did a couple. We actually have some franchise business taking place right now in certain verticals that their business has increased during this, and they need more equipment. So there are some positives, not a lot. And then what we're trying to do is work with, those franchisors to either do payment deferments, where if they were starting to get into the system, where we can put off that payment for 90 days, and still move forward, because we are going to come out of this. There's no doubt about that. The timeline, who knows? But at the end of the day, we'll be back to commerce and things will be going well.
Do you feel that we'll come out better? I'm an optimist, and I get criticized for that sometimes. And anytime that there's diversity in my life, in my business, I find that things get better. And yes, we're still number one, Fred.
I see you over there.
I believe that we will be better. And anytime I call it a reboot, it really exposes maybe weaknesses in your business. And I'm not speaking for Unify. I'm just speaking from a macro level perspective. Just like when we came out of 2008, businesses have to learn from that, and it exposes weaknesses. And we've had weaknesses that's exposed for us as well. But now, we address those and put plans into place. But I firmly believe we will come out of this stronger, better as a. I mean, think about I was saying this to my wife. We can, as Americans, we complain about little things. A red light, stuck in traffic, dinner service is slow, my meal wasn't cooked the way that I like it. Things that we just took for granted every single day. I can't wait to go out to dinner now and have a nice martini with a nice steak and enjoy company and have that conversation. But however, in the current world we live in, I play board games now with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
We were playing Yahtzee last night, having family dinners. I FaceTime now more with my mother than I have in probably the previous 10 years. So there are positives that are coming out of this current reboot. But to answer your question, Ray, we were going to be better for this. It takes the fat out of the system. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but it does. It really exposes people who are probably very successful just because of luck. So.
Well, and I think that's true. When my youngest son was 2, he had seizures on the hour every hour for 2 weeks, and I used to think when people complained about a bad meal, get a bigger problem. Perspective is everything, and I think that's kind of what we're going through as a collective. We've learned what a bigger problem actually is. I'm curious to know what industries have needed more equipment and are doing better in this kind of climate.
Yeah. So one in particular that comes to mind is we work with a franchisor that's out based on the West Coast. And their model has always been drive-through.
Mm.
So we've seen they're trying to put bigger machines into their locations because they've seen such an uptick in business where they're actually up 15 to 20% per location
Wow.
during this,
Fantastic.
because they were already the go-to brand for drive-through, unlike a Starbucks or a different type of a brand name. They already had that built-in clientele, and they already had that built-in systems to handle the flow of that. We do quite a bit of restoration business as well in terms of working with restoration brands, which I think we've talked about before. We see that, continuing to grow, and that business is considered essential use, or essential even when there's states that have, or counties that have shutdowns. They're still required to serve their customer base. So those are two in particular. Those are really the new ones in the franchisor space.
Well, in terms of innovation, I know a lot of businesses are trying to innovate the way they run their business model to be able to do online sales or the curbside pickup. Have you seen clients who have done that kind of thing and created a new revenue stream that they didn't have before?
Yeah, so not so much in the franchise space, but we heard from two different particular value-added resellers, tech resellers, that they offered financing sometimes, but now they want to have the financing part of their go-to-market strategy, because they see huge opportunity in regards to the technology that companies were missing in terms of remote access, laptops, VPN access, the software that drives the innovation. So we haven't seen it come through the pipeline yet, but we've seen those dealers calling us saying, we want more of a formal program as part of our go-to-market strategy to help people acquire this. And quite honestly, I believe if this is, we flatten the curve and things work the way that we hope that they do, there'll be so much pent up demand on all fronts. It will be a positive experience, and not about the stock market, but for the small business owners, that they can get through this. They can utilize the resources in terms of SBAs, community lenders, that they can get through this. And then the demand, it's going to be easy for them to pay off those loans that got them through this period. And now, again, we're all going to learn something from this.
Yep. Fred,
So,
didn't you say you wanted to do something at 4:15?
So at this point, we will thank the Link Local Network for broadcasting our show. You can always find out new and interesting things, as well as events. At least they used to have events. Now it's virtual events. Pick up the whole broadcast schedule. And best post is the 5 ways to stay connected while under quarantine, which is actually one of the questions I'm going to ask RJ when we come back. Caffeinated Connections, the local morning coffee, has gone virtual. They're now going to be, for the duration of the quarantine, 7:30 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Sorry. Last week's event, which was the first one, had people in 3 states showing up: California, Arizona, and Illinois. So go to caffeinatedconnections.com and check out the
Hey, franchise owners, how's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new movements to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or Westvyne with a Y.com.
The Franchise Woman is a bi-monthly digital magazine that empowers women as they navigate the franchise industry by providing relevant news, tools, advice, and inspiration. We are a resource for women who are seeking to own their own businesses, improve their existing businesses, find creative solutions, and take advantage of franchise opportunities. We feature women in the business who best exemplify our ideals and have something to teach our readers. In addition to our exclusive articles relating to the female entrepreneur, we also feature brands that are geared for women. Women have become the fastest growing sector in business ownership and have become a powerful, influenceable force fueling the economy. The Franchise Woman will give you the news that is relevant to you to help you navigate the path of successful franchise ownership. By women, for women, and about women. We are the Franchise Woman. Join us today at www.thefranchisewoman.com.
We're number one. We're number one. And we're back. So before I asked AJ the next question, Elizabeth, franchise, what new joint thing has the Franchise Woman cooked up with Pillars of Franchising?
We are partnering together to form a franchisee advisory board. We're going to have bi-monthly, I think, meetings to discuss what's going on in the world, how we can work together and cope, and what questions they have for franchisors that we can then panel franchisors on and ask to answer those questions.
Ooh, so back with AJ, as he said, to put up with all the commercials.
RJ,
sorry.
No, but hold on. I want to expand on that because I'm named after my grandfather, Raymond Joseph. And it's interesting. After I graduated college, I said, okay, I'm going to become professional now, and it's going to be Ray. Then I got into sales. And I said, wait a minute here. They're always going to remember the guy with the initials. I don't care if it's JR. So I'm not offended as long as there's two initials. AJ could be JP. So AJ is fine. I'm okay with that.
But RJ, I think of aluminum.
Yeah.
RJ Reynolds.
Mm-hmm. Well, during the Dallas days, JR was that.
Yeah.
One too. So
I will say it's a good thing you didn't go with by Ray, because that'd be really confusing on the show.
Oh yeah.
I find it interesting. There's a grandfather connection, because actually AJ was what we called my one of my granddaughters.
okay.
So RJ, everyone's cabin fever. Most people working from home. What ways have you seen people? You can't work the old ways. I was talking to a PhD on all the conferences and trade shows that have been shut down and will be for a while. And what do you see companies doing to go out and at least maintain awareness and develop current relationships as well as build new ones?
Yeah. So I'll speak from a personal perspective, and we talked a lot about this to our sales manager and our sales team. Right now, it's all about building relationships. It's not about calling and asking about sales or you're checking in on people. But to answer your question specifically, we love using video, and we've been using video probably for 5 years. Now, we started using it and then we stopped. This event that's taking place is going to put us using video again. And an example of that, one of our franchisors, matter of fact, that we partner with, we just attended their conference at the end of January. So we're very engaged and entrenched. The CEO sent me an email, and we've been proactively communicating to him. But like everyone, he's over inundated with emails, I'm sure. So he sent me a email asking what specifically we were doing to help his franchisees. And versus sending him a response via an email, I sent him a video. just like I'm doing right now, a video explaining what exactly we're doing, how we're doing it, what our goals are, and it's more personal. It's not an email. He immediately responded and said, RJ, I can't thank you enough for this video. Can I send it out to the entire system?
Wow. Yep.
And that wasn't my goal. My goal was just to make it personal so I think those people that have been hesitant to utilize these tools, they're going to have to now. There's no alternative. So if you can get out in front of it and utilize it. Now with that, for our industry and a lot of businesses on a national scope, let me give you one other example. My son plays high level hockey, and he's in the process of either committing to a D1, a Division I school, or a high Division III school. So his season, of course, was cut short. He's now had 2 different universities that he hasn't gone to for tours, and they've stopped that because of everything going on. The NCAA has. 2 different universities want to do a virtual tour with him through Zoom. I love it. It saves me time, money, expense getting him there, getting ourselves there. I can sit and do it. I could be in my office. He can be where he is. So I really think that there's going to be a lot of positives. And we talked about FAT. That expense is going to be cut out of the system because a Zoom license is not that expensive in comparison to flying and seeing someone. So I see it as a positive on all fronts, and people my kids are used to this, right?
Yeah.
They're used to this medium of communication. It's getting like people like my boss used to it. He's never been on a Zoom call. He's never been on a webcast, and our annual shareholder meeting's been canceled for April, and I believe we're going to try. He's trying to do a Zoom call to all of our shareholders. Now the challenge is a lot of our shareholders are older, and they're going to probably struggle with technology, but it's going to be the new world, I believe.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. I do have a question for you regarding. I think recently the Fed has lowered the prime to almost 0 or 0.
It is. They say between 0 and.
So how does that affect 2 things: the availability of money and your interest rate?
Yeah, so great question. So I won't get on my personal soapbox in regards to that.
Okay.
We'll just answer your question specifically. It has absolutely nothing to do in commercial lending, and so many people believe that it does. So we had a lot of phone calls in regards to that, but our commercial lending has nothing to do with Fed being between 0. That's a consumer-based or consumer, and also it's interbank trading of funds. That's so now we price off of swaps and other commercial indexes, and it's at an all-time low. It really is. Now that's the good news. The bad news is we're starting to see this, and the same thing happened in 08, 09. There will be liquidity drying up in the market. And I don't know how much. I don't know if it'll be as bad as 09, but I think banks will be very strategic before they lend in this current market. Now, the programs that are designed for SBA and the design to help companies, they're fine. There's enough liquidity there for that. Yeah, there's enough liquidity. And as the Fed has said, they will continue to print and to support the business owners. But remember, there's nothing for free when the government gives you anything. There's something tied to it. But I think that people are going to start becoming, or banks or finance companies are going to, really start looking at, and it really depends on how long this takes, looking at deploying that capital for new business, not to support their current business, but for new business, at least for the time being. So, 2 answers. One, Fed has nothing to do with our cost in terms of what we're charging, but it still is an all-time low. And then secondly, as business owners and franchisees go to their either bank or even a Unifi, make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And it's even more important than it ever has been to have your know your numbers extremely well. And very importantly, a lot of business owners should be looking at their income statement right now before they take on more debt. Maybe it's not worth taking on more debt. Maybe it's, use that financial statement for brainstorming before you take that government loan to ensure, look at your income, look at your direct costs. And as we said, the fat that's being cut out of the system, this is the time to really understand and take action and learn those, and not have the mindset of, well, we've always done it like that. It's a new world, and this provides the opportunity to change the way you look at things.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So in terms of that, we've had conversations over the last week or so with other people who talked about whether it was a good time to get into franchising. There's a ramp up period, sometimes 3 or 4 months in terms of getting SBAs or even just ramp up if you have a physical location, that kind of thing. Would you advise someone either way, for or against, now being a great time? Jobs are being lost. I mean, it's unpredictable what's going on. Do you have a perspective on that?
I'll give you my thoughts on that. I talked to a gentleman yesterday here in Ann Arbor, younger gentleman, he's early 30s, and we actually interviewed him to become an underwriter here, and then he ultimately went out and bought a franchise in the home space, or home fixing space, and he listed his business in the middle of February. 5 years old, he grew it to nice revenues. And then he put it on, and he was calling me for advice that should he take it off? What should he do? And I said to him, Joe, I actually believe you should keep it on, because if corporate downsizing takes place, you might have a potential good buyer in the market that has business knowledge. And quite honestly, he or she would rather buy a revenue generating business than something from scratch. Yeah. So now, it might change in terms of negotiation or your multiple or things of that nature, but I would not take it off the market. I would leave it there. I think that SBA lending is going to be very difficult if you're just starting the process right now for a new business. I think that they're going to be so distracted with helping current businesses. You might as well put it on pause. And then personally, my wife has been looking at a concept. We were all the way up to the discovery day, and then this hit the fan, and we put it on pause. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to jump into something right now. Now, does that mean that we won't do it long term? No, but I think that it's just a pause to wait to see how this all shakes out. And then eventually we'll move in, because we can't do discovery day. We can't travel. We can't go train. So everything's stopped anyways, even nothing to do with our decision, even if we wanted to continue going. But franchisors, I think, are going to have to adapt. You might start seeing more discovery days that are virtual. You're going to start seeing more training that is recorded that's virtual versus on site. So again, I think the world as we know it today will be different a year from now, 2 years from now for all parties.
Yeah, it gave me goosebumps. It's going to be different. It's going to be different for sure.
It's always different every day.
I would be interested in this group's thoughts on what are you hearing from the franchisors in terms of working with their franchisees in regards to royalties and things of that nature, because the banks, we're working with them. Are you finding now, granted, if it's off of revenue, the royalties are the royalties, but there's always other fees too.
It's going to be different. It's going to be different for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to a couple of franchisors who, one is a very small franchise. She's waiving royalty fees.
I would be interested in.
Do you hear that? She's waiving franchise fees for April, May, and maybe into June. She's going to kind of wait and see what's going on.
Thoughts on
a lot of them are providing online services. I talked to Catherine Monson the other day. She's putting out videos left and right talking about how to keep a positive mental attitude, how to look forward, she quoted Zig Ziglar about, expect the best, prepare for the worst, and capitalize on what's to come. Mm-hmm. So guiding her franchisees through that process. of being prepared and trying to be optimistic but being realistic, all those things. So I think from my perspective and the people that I've talked to, they are trying to work with their franchisees. We had one, though. I'm in Alabama. We have a chicken salad chicks in the municipal center where the courts are. And that's all shut down. So the lawyers, the judges, the clients, everybody isn't coming in there, and they've lost 60% of their revenue. And the Mobile City Council, who is their landlord, is refusing to defer rent payments.
Oh no.
I mean, that's small town Alabama. That's, to me, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably a story on every side, but for the most part, the ones I see are trying to do what they can to help their franchisees.
And I love what you just said too, in terms of now you really can take an approach as a franchisor, just like what we're trying to do with our customer base. It's more than just finance. It's more than just it's the mindset. It's helping business owners. It's having those conversations again, because we're all in it together. And I've been telling business owners as I talk to them, I firmly believe in a principle called FAST. And F stands for focus. Focus on your most critical resources you have. Do a personal assessment on everything, and then systemize every piece of your business. Everything's stopped right now, so it's a perfect time for you to not, the E-Myth, not work in the business, work on the business,
Right.
and then train, get better. I've been listening to more podcasts and leadership things, and leaning into that. So.
Well, and that's what Catherine Monson was saying too. It's time for self-improvement. Read a book on leadership or those soft skills that you need to work on. And, as the Franchise Woman magazine, that's what I've chosen to do, is build relationships. So I've been checking in. The March issue just came out before all of this happened, so it doesn't have any content on that. So what I've been doing is contacting the interviews that I did and saying, what are you doing? What messaging do you need to get out? And trying to promote that while promoting the article that they're in, so we don't lose out on that kind of marketing for them. But also making it relevant to what they're doing for their franchisees, or if they are a franchisee, how are they coping, that kind of thing. So
just making that phone call goes so far.
Yeah. And if you send an email that says just checking in, like I have no ulterior motive whatsoever, they all respond. They're like, oh, thank you so much. Here's what I need you to tell people. So I think that's kind of how I can do something to help. And I think most people have that attitude.
I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that on all fronts, that I still occasionally get the you can tell it's a sales marketing email that, okay, you're now trying to take advantage of this. Or this morning I'm watching CNBC, and, the attorney that is the ambulance chaser, he's now has his COVID-19 commercial. It's like, really? Yeah, exactly. You're hurting your brand more than you're doing anything positive for it.
I think a lot of people were prepared for World War III, but they weren't prepared for this. Most franchisees were certainly not prepared, and franchisor were certainly not prepared for it. I know one of the concerns of some of the smaller franchises in my brand was a minimum franchise fee, the minimum percentage that is built into their contracts. And recently they indicated that they would acquiesce on that. So it's the information from the franchisor is coming slowly, because they are unprepared. Like as the franchisees are unprepared. Everyone's unprepared. I think more people were prepared for World War III than they were for this.
But you really see the leadership. Back to Elizabeth's point, the good operators, and it doesn't matter if you're in franchising, the franchisor, it doesn't matter what business. It could be a restaurant. But the companies that accepted this early on and said, this is the new norm and we have to take these actions. And guess what? We're not sure if these actions are going to be correct or not, but it's going to be fluid. But we're going to try and everything in our power to get out in front of it, lean into it and address it, and not say, well, we're going to stick our head in the sand and hopefully we hope we turn on the news and it's going to be gone, because that's not the case. So we feel, and I've seen local restaurants here where, our restaurants have been closed a week now. And the restaurant that I frequent all the time, they were offering curb service before they were even shut down.
Yeah.
Sure. So, and then they're using social media, and we've really seen, it's interesting. We have a local fitness club here too that do all the right things. They do a podcast, or on social media, they're building their tribe, and they came right out, and 2 points here. One, transparency today is king.
Yep.
Transparency is so critical. And they came right out and said, and were very transparent to their tribe and said, we will not make it through this. We won't unless we have support of our tribe.
Yeah.
And they went out and they raised $50,000 through a GoFundMe for them to pay their employees and their trainers during the shutdown.
Wow.
And they're completely transparent. They said, we will show you our bank statement. We'll show you everything where your money is going. It's not going to the owners. It's not going to it's going to pay our rent. It's going to pay our employees so we can keep them, even though they can't train you. And of course, they're doing virtual trainings and things of that nature. But again, they were out in front of it. They weren't waiting.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Fred?
What I keep interesting. You said, so one of the theories I and we've had is that at this point in time, people for the most part are sitting on their in front of either a phone, computer, or TV.
Oh, or all the above.
Which is, you can listen to the podcast, they can watch the video. And actually, if you got a Roku, you can get YouTube on your Roku on your TV, so you can watch us on your TV. So you can be watching Pillars of Franchising in all those places. But for those that go dark, because that's some companies, it appears, are choosing to go dark and not do any marketing. Our theory has been they're going to get overwhelmed because the smart ones are pushing out even more marketing to the virtual trainings, stuff like that, everything. That seems to be what you're saying. Am I right?
Valuable content, just not pushing more marketing, but now relevant content that resonates with people. There's more eyeballs on social media now than there ever has been. There's more eyeballs on Twitter. There's actually, it's maybe hurt Instagram more than it has probably Facebook, because Facebook, and as well as Twitter. I made a comment yesterday to a gentleman that I think Twitter probably right now, I have no idea what it's trading at, but that's where I'm getting news from my Twitter feed faster than I am from the journal or anything else or an email blast, because that's real time.
Yeah.
But also you have to make sure that you're just not glued to that, because there's a lot of junk, but I'm also very selective of what I follow. But and Fred, back to your point, Lo, this event exposes people that weren't utilizing social media, digital marketing before, more so, because they're not prepared for this, and they're probably were struggling before this in terms of cash flow and things of that nature. So for them now to jumpstart this, it's going to be challenging. But the people that were doing it, and now they're pouring gasoline on it, so when they come out of it, they've been transparent, they've over communicated, they're gonna succeed that much more. And
the mantra when I started my business was answer the phone. Insert expletive, okay? Because people weren't simply even answering the phone. Now we're so far beyond that. It's amazing.
It's the little things, but a lot of people, it takes work to do those little things, right?
Yep, it does.
All right, so before Elizabeth gets the next question, we're gonna take another commercial. Thank everyone for chatting on every place. It's been distracting but interesting. Remind you can listen at 323-580-5755. That's 323-580-5755. And our technical producer will talk to you and get your questions from you. Or you can chat live at pillarsoffranchising.com or linklocalnetwork.com. And we're number one. And now a word from another sponsor.
Ever wonder how successful business people get educated about franchise business options? The Franchise Consulting Company is a group of over 100 franchise professionals with more than 2,000 years of franchise experience. We help our clients select and investigate franchise companies. And like a realtor, our services are free of charge to you. Our fees are paid by the seller. Reach out to us to learn more and get a free copy of the Franchise MBA, the #1 bestseller and highest reviewed book on Amazon in the franchise category. Our website is thefranchiseconsultingcompany.com, or feel free to call us on 800-321-6072.
And we're back, and this is my copy. Also, Nick, when he was on the show last time, cut a new deal of that. If you fill out the form on Pillars of Franchising, not only will you get this really cool book, the Franchise MBA, you'll also get your own set of virtual reality gear. So pillarsoffranchising.com, fill out the form. Elizabeth, take us away.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things businesses are and are not doing, or should and should not do. So what would you say the single most important thing to do is as a business owner, and the single most important thing not to do, if you had to put it in a nutshell?
Take action or not take it. If you don't take action and address it and accept it, there's really, 5 things in terms of fear, right? As you go through it, first is denial. Okay. So you're denying everything going on. And I've seen a lot of people go through that. We'll be okay, as I said, and we'll be fine. And then anger, you get mad. Why is this going on? And then you start trying to, bargain mentally. We're going to be okay. Aren't we going to be okay? The fear of the unknown, this bargaining game going on. Depression. I mean, that's what scares me more than anything else.
Yeah.
These business owners have put everything they know into this.
That's right.
And it's gone, or it could be gone, and they don't know. And then as soon as you accept it, and that's what we've done here, that's what I've done personally. Yes. And now it's like, okay, this is it. Now we have to move forward. Now we have to using FAST, focus, access, systemize, train. And what are we going to do in the new norm? And then looking at everything, the world is going to be different. It's going to be changed. We need to redesign everything. We need to redesign in our personal life. We need to redesign in our business life. And that excites me, because I'm always looking to re-engineer and redesigning. And I'm one of those guys. Why? Not saying it's wrong, but why? Why do we do it like that? And business owners should be doing that today. And again, because they have the time.
Yes.
I'd be curious of how many business owners are getting up in the morning, they turn on the boob tube and they sit there first saying, okay, I'm going to go sit in my office or wherever, kitchen table, and I'm going to start looking at every facet of the business. What's my main resource? What's my main, and it's P&L, it's profitability at the end of the day, right? And so many business owners are just focused on cash flow versus profitability. And now they're going to come out of this and they're going to just start trying to generate cash, but that's not working. It needs to be profitable cash that they're generating in revenue for the business. So it's taking action. And I think it's a great time. If you were successful before as a business owner, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to be that much more successful when we come out of this.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So we know what time it is, don't we?
We need some ominous music with that, you know that.
Yeah.
Now he's going to find some for next show.
You're right. I do. I got the really cool graphic of all 4 of us going down the rabbit hole. But,
oh yeah.
So next week, here, let me take a note. Ominous music. I learned so much on these shows. So we'll bring everyone back to the our joyful video here. Why isn't the coronavirus the start of the zombie apocalypse?
I don't have an answer for that one.
More. Okay.
If it is,
my
it's been
belief.
great. If it is, it's been a great run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how will Unify, with their very cool services as well as this, help defeat the zombies in the zombie apocalypse?
Again, that's way out of my bailiwick to be able to answer that question.
You can buy more weapons.
Add more weapons and pray a lot more, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. So now, Ray, you get to take us out.
I'm going to take you out with the last question, but I want to give accolades to my employee family for hanging in there. Thank you very much. Mary and George Lascano, thank you for the hat. But my last question to you, RJ, is now somebody's thinking forward beyond the disaster. What do they need to do to get a hold of you to get a loan?
Sure. I can be reached. My direct phone number, which now I'm giving out versus a toll-free number, is area code 734-794-4250. Again, 734-794-4250. Or you could just Google RJ Grimshaw website.
Comes up.
Our company's website is teamUnify.com. And we'd be excited to help you, provide any type of advice that we can. There it is right there. And again, my background, I came from a family of entrepreneurs. Hangs here on my one of my most prized possessions is my dad's business plan written in pencil from 1983.
Cool.
I have that framed in my office, 9 pages of it. And he took this business plan and grew it into a $50 million company. I love entrepreneurs. I love business owners. I love going to franchise. I love when I was at the show at the end of January, one of many conferences I've been to before this happened, just that environment and that vibe and the energy, and asking people, how did you end up here? How did you end up with this brand? What was your decision-making process? Where are you going? And just talking business, not finance, just business. And getting to know people.
And that's what this show is about, talking business. That's why we love it.
Small to medium-sized business too. And that's why we talked about the 5, I was depressed. It hurt me tremendously, because I love helping small to medium-sized businesses. And I know, unfortunately, a lot of those businesses are going to be hurt.
Yes.
One way or the other. And forget about what it does for Unify. It's just families are going to be crushed. And they didn't see it coming. They couldn't plan for it. They weren't prepared. They didn't have a say in terms of if they're being shut down. But I'm through that phase. So it's now, what can I do to help? What can I do to help those individuals?
Excellent.
All right. Coming up next, folks, we got a great segment from Ron Silberstein on auditing practices that you need to be aware of in this coronavirus age. But before that, I want to thank RJ for coming on. Like I said, with RJ, this is the coolest thing on earth. If you have ever had a cell phone die on you, this is a lifesaver. And
Elizabeth, don't forget to send me your home address so I can send you one.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Find RJ's information on his bio page on the Pillars of Franchising.
That's right.
So, thanks, RJ, and this isn't the last time you've had to deal with us. So,
you're a great guest. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much.
Very, very, humbled that I could to be on the show, and especially in this, again, historic times that we're all living through.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your insight for sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Right. And on to Ron.
So on today's Pillars of Franchising, we are welcoming Ron Silberstein. He is the co-founder and president and
You
CFO
think?
of Bud's Place Franchising.
I think.
He was formerly CFO and Chief Admin
I
Officer
hope.
for a large
You
retail
know,
golf store franchisor
maybe
that
we
had
aren't going on
150
to
franchise
Ron.
stores and system-wide revenue exceeding $200 million.
All right. So
He is also a CPA working with
we're not going
franchisors
on
and
to Ron.
franchisees of all sizes
I
located
can see
throughout the
Ron,
U.S. Hi,
but we
Ron.
can't hear Ron. I hate software at times. Okay, so folks, RJ was great. He brought up a lot of great stuff. What's been the biggest the most closest to home thing that's impacted you? Or actually, no. What's the best part of this? What's the best part of this emergency historical event, whatever you want to call it? What's the best thing that's happened to you?
Hmm.
Who are you talking to?
Both of you.
The best thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Introspective about my business, more introspection. I think a greater appreciation, even though I had a greater appreciation before for my employees. It's a fantastic family. I can't say how much I love them. I love them. All of them.
Well, I think that's true too. And the relationships that you've started to build as a newer group, clearly we're not getting a lot of advertising right now. People have pulled back that I had locked in, but still being able to maintain those relationships and regardless, help people get messaging out. But in terms of even personal relationships, like I said to RJ, perspective is everything. And you get caught up in so many small things in your day-to-day life and your day-to-day business. And then when something big happens, you start to recognize the value. I mean, this is the funniest thing. My ex-husband called me the other day and I haven't talked to him in probably a year because my children are all old enough to manage their own relationships. But he was trying to put a child support payment in and he goes, Wells Fargo's closed. What am I going to do? We were talking about how he would normally do it. And he said, I'm worried about Gran and Papa, my parents. And I said, you are? And he said, yeah, well, they're in that age. And are they not going anywhere, are they? And he was asking me all about my parents. And I thought that was kind of sweet from somebody that I don't have a lot of contact with anymore. You know, everybody has developed a perspective of what's really important, I think. And that goes to business and personal and everything else. So I think that's kind of the best thing that's come out of all this.
Yep. Greater appreciation of family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's your work family or your personal family.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would tell you today, my greatest appreciation is the fact that we finally have water back in the office. The guy showed up and turned it on. In normal times, I would have walked up and hugged him and the downstairs SWAC Realty. I would have hugged both of them. As it was, I stood 6 feet away and said, you guys are my heroes. I really was not looking forward to doing the show here and having to go find the toilet somewhere else. So right now it's water.
Yeah. Running water is good.
Running water, electricity, and internet means Ray's dog doesn't get attacked by a pit bull.
Yeah, that's right.
It was weird. Like I said, I keep hearing Eric Idle's always look on the bright side of life. And crap happens. Either we live through it or don't.
Yeah. Doesn't kill you, it makes you better.
Exactly. And as Sun Tzu said, in chaos, there's opportunity. And man, there's a lot of chaos right now.
Please don't get into don't get into that area. I don't want to talk about it.
All right. So folks, at that point, we'll say goodbye to everybody. And we'll if nothing else, we'll release our interview with Ron in a standalone version and then play it next week too. Thanks to my co-host Ray Pillar and Elizabeth Denham. We're number one. We're number one. We're number one.
There you go.
And it's number one, you asked?